Hey, Internets! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Counterpart, Season 2, Episode 6, entitled Twin Cities. So it's all about Minneapolis.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It was like some radical shift. I'm like, what did it suddenly come over to the United States?
I thought it was about England and, France.
Oh, okay. Kind of the best of times, worst of times.
That's what I thought.
Okay, good. Yeah, but no. Okay, sorry. This is that episode. You know, you get these in a certain series. The one I'm thinking of, Westworld, for instance. You got a sci-fi premise. It's a little mysterious. And you're like, what happened? Somewhere there, usually in season 2, you get the origin story.
The inciting incident.
Boom, and we got it. You could put this at the beginning of the series, and or if somebody's like, I never watched Counterpart, what's it about? You'd probably direct them to this episode.
I wouldn't.
Well, okay. All right. Well, it gives away the mystery, I suppose.
Yes, it does.
It's the, wait, Vader was his dad all along?
It's like if someone was like, I want to watch the show, but I'm afraid there's going to be too much mystery. I'd be like, well, start with this episode. And then wait till the series is over, and then start with that episode. By the way, last episode.
Interesting you should mention that because I read an interview with the showrunner, Justin Marks.
Yes.
This is the one...
that he directed and wrote.
Maybe only that he directed.
And wrote, yeah.
And they filmed it last. They filmed all the other episodes first, and this was the last thing they filmed. So they filmed 19 episodes first, and then all right, we'll film this.
Interesting.
So just on that note, real quick, a couple of other things. There were two bits from the interview that I thought were interesting. One, he was asked, so did you have the whole plan for this origin story in mind when you started, episode 1, season 1?
Yes.
He said, basically, yes, but there were a few things that they changed. And one of them that he mentioned specifically was Mira. They liked the character of Mira so much that they set up in season 1 that they decided to make her this inciting incident. The whole tape-breaking thing was, I don't think that was established, but they decided, all right, we're going to bring Mira into this story.
Okay.
So that was one thing. The other thing that I thought was interesting is they're talking about whether or not this thing's coming back for season 3. I guess the numbers aren't great, unfortunately. I don't know why. It's a great show.
It's a great show.
For whatever reason.
Why aren't you telling your friends to watch it?
Viewer numbers are down.
Why aren't you also making podcasts that are better than ours?
Damn it. Okay. So
make us look foolish.
Make us look foolish. We don't look foolish at all right now. So I mean, hopefully this will be back for season 3. Maybe Netflix even picks it up if Stars does it. Whatever. But that was beside the point. His point was he's like, creatively we're on track. We're going to try and do some season 3 stuff. And the one thing he mentioned was, I was just having a talk with the actor who plays Peter Quayle about season 3 alternatives, and our minds were spinning, and blah, blah, blah. Which to me means Peter Quayle survived season 2. So there you go. I don't know if that means Alpha or Prime. Or which,
really. Which one?
Okay. All right. So there you go. Background. So this episode kind of eschews a lot of our major characters. The only two people that we see from what would be the current time frame is Old Man Yannick and Mira.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's all origin story. Back to 87, we see East Berlin is still East Berlin, and Yannick is trying to defect, and he's a high-level scientist, it looks like, and he's meeting with, it looks like, a U.S. guy.
Yeah, does seem
Croft. Who's like, all right, we're giving you a camera. You're going to take some pictures of the lab you work in, and in exchange for that, we'll get your family out of the country.
And you.
So all's going to plan. He finds a reason to get people out of the lab, and he starts taking pictures.
I kind of feel like he's a bit of a jerk.
I agree. He does seem like a bit of a jerk. I mean, not a horrible guy, but...
No, not horrible, but he's just sort of like, that's going to be a lot of work, and...
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, he's just trying to get these people out of his way, but yes. So, he does it by, being a jerk.
So and he was certainly a jerk in the previous episodes as an old man.
Correct. And we see later he is
as
a jerk.
Younger jerk. Yes.
In later years as well. So I got the idea in the act of taking pictures. He talks about, I left my post and that's what happened. I kind of feel like he just, like you even see when the computer starts spitting out errors and it says, press to abort.
Yep.
And he's not there to press it.
Nope, he's not.
And so I think he causes the accident by not just clicking a button.
Yep.
And so
a lot like Lost.
Yeah, they're really, yeah. What the experiment he's running is, they called it a synchrotron. I know science. No, but I looked it up, and basically it's a particle accelerator. So it's much like the Hadron Collider or something like that, but it's a version of that. So he's doing some experiments with a particle accelerator, and science happens. And
sure.
Other dimension. Yeah. I don't know what you call it. Parallel dimension, we'll say. Parallel world. Parallel thing.
Parallel universe.
Opens up. And it's a cool shot when you see, because in the very beginning, everything is exactly identical, including they drop their flashlights, the flashlights spin opposite. They come down. You only hear one voice, but I think it's because they're both talking at the exact same time.
I think so too.
Is anyone there?
And it's echoing, but then it's like, what?
What? Yeah. And then they see each other and run off.
Yeah.
Temporarily. One interesting quote that when Yannick is talking to the U.S. agent.
Yes.
He's talking about the experiment of socialism in...
Yeah.
And he says, the experiment was perfect.
Yeah.
Our pettiness is what ruined it.
Yeah, so you can see that he believed in the concept of it, but probably corruption, and abuse of power probably soured him on the concept.
Right, which obviously can be then extrapolated to the other experiment, which they're thinking is like the experiment itself isn't horrible, it's the people running it screwed things up. Like when I killed my other with a phone.
Yes.
All right. The parallel between the experiment of...
I was thinking that it just sort of formulated the fact that he can be passionate about belief. So,
Gotcha.
He was soured on this idea, but he still liked the idea of socialism.
I got you. Okay. So on that point, we find out he has a son. We didn't know that. His son, Reiner, is kind of anti-government.
Yes.
And he's been noticed by the government to we should probably maybe arrest this guy. And there's an interesting, he's fighting with his parents. Because obviously Yannick is trying to get the heck out of there, but he also has informed his wife,
yes,
we're going to be leaving soon, get ready.
Yes.
And so,
but not the kids.
But they haven't told the kids,
no.
And so they're having to put this face on, and the kid's like, well, just trust the government. I don't know. It was interesting, the interesting dynamic of trying to pretend. Although then later, eventually when the government does come for Reiner, and she smacks him in the face, it was like, I'm like, is that an act? Are you trying to just look like everything's fine, or was she sincerely upset with him?
I'm sure she was sincerely upset with him. The fact that they know that he could get sick.
Well, no.
To me, it's like I feel like
because they're trying to escape.
They
realize the place is bad.
Right.
She's upset, I guess, that he's ruining their efforts to escape. He doesn't know that, though. What is it?
But he's causing trouble. The whole thing about they needed to get away was that because they have somebody, their child, who is clearly a rebel and is going to be in trouble. So let's get out of here. If we're going to be in trouble from the government, let's get out of here.
Right, obviously she takes that out on Yannick because she's like, we should have left earlier.
Right, but
she takes it out on the son. I just thought it was a little weird
well, that's the kind of woman she is. She takes it out on the people that she loves. She just how could you do this, endangering yourself and all this? She can't see. It's hard for her to separate the acts that people do because they feel like they have to.
It's a complex family dynamic, which gets much more complex when you add another whole version of the family.
Yes.
I'll bring this up now just because what the hell? I'll bring it up because it's the important the moment. What do they call it? Point of departure. The point of departure for both worlds, apparently, is they decide, the two Yannicks decide, all right, I wanted to give a test. Did you buy a tape for your daughter? You did? All right. I'm going to break mine. The Prime Yannick breaks the tape and says, I'm not giving my daughter a gift.
Yeah, I don't think you expressed that exactly correctly. It's certainly their point of departure, but you said for the world.
Well, good point. I guess
because before that they were doing other things too.
It's true. Yeah, and they I almost felt like maybe they picked up the wrong flashlights when they were picking up. Anyway, but so there's probably other little ripples that are different.
Yeah.
I think they even one wears a sweater, one doesn't wear a sweater at one point. The fact that they're talking and not just mirroring each other means they have to say different things. So, okay, good point. I suppose the direction was already started, but in a way you could point to this moment as the moment they decided intentionally, let's make something different in our worlds.
Yes.
Bang.
Yes.
And so that thing is, it's an Alphaville tape. So Alphaville,
Matt's favorite band.
It's not my favorite band, but I do have some Alphaville on my iTunes.
Oh, okay.
So I went back and listened to the lyrics that she's listening to.
Forced himself.
She being Mira, young Mira, her favorite band is Alphaville. Apparently.
What album was it?
So the first, because she's listening to two songs.
Right.
So the first song she's listening to when we open is a song called "Sounds Like a Melody" from Alphaville's first album, Forever Young. Okay. Forever Young, the title track was at my prom and everybody's prom in the 80s. That was their big famous song. Now, actually, the song I have on my iTunes playlist from Forever Young is a song called Victory of Love, which apparently wasn't a single, but it's a really cool song. Anyway, that's beside the point. I think they chose Alphaville for a couple of good reasons. One,
the dumb one.
Oh, will you stop? That's obviously who gives the gift to Mira. It's Alpha Yannick. So Alphaville. It's kind of a fun little pun there, right? Or coincidence. Mm-hmm. Alphaville is a German band. Their first
Rod Stewart. Sorry, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, you're thinking of Rod Stewart. Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I know what you mean.
That's in my head. That's in my head.
It is not that song.
Now I got to listen to that. Damn it.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's.
But that's what I'm thinking. Like,
it's like essence of '80s pop tune. It really does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But another song on that album, just to show you how German they were.
Oh, they're really German.
From Forever Young, "Summer in Berlin" is the name of one of their songs. I mean, yeah. So, but the fact that they have Alpha in the name is kind of fun. Also, the group's name Alphaville comes from a movie called Alphaville.
Yes.
Which was one of the Jean-Luc Godard film that was it's a sci-fi dystopian future. It's a city that's ruled by computers basically, but it's a dystopian future where a spy is brought in to try to take down the system. So it becomes it's a sci-fi premise with a spy versus spy noir, which is basically what this show is. I wouldn't be surprised if the showrunner, if Justin Marks was like, yeah, actually I took some of my inspiration from the movie Alphaville. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually is a thing. So that kind of makes sense too. And
I thought you were going to say, I thought the dumb one is that Alpha, Prime, Alpha World, Alphaville. That's what I thought. That's dumb.
You don't like the Alphaville thing? I think there's a reason.
I mean, it's not the worst. I mean, but it's kind of dumb.
See, on the other side, they're called Primeville. No. All right, so here was the other little, I thought, interesting bit. This is probably completely coincidental, but it is interesting. She gets the album. The second album.
That's what the gift is?
It's the second album. Alphaville's second album came out in like '86. That was an album called Afternoons in Utopia. Actually, I don't have that album. Sorry, I don't know a lot about that. But I looked it up based on her lyrics. I wrote in that the song she's listening to when she does not save her brother.
Yes.
Is a song called Universal Daddy.
Oh.
So that was just kind of interesting.
It is interesting there, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. So there you go. I don't know if they planned all that. If they did, good on them. But there's some interesting little tie-ins to Alphaville. So there you go. All right. That said, right. So the alpha version of Mira is too busy listening to her headphones to hear that her brother is going through it looks like an epileptic fit. I would say he's got epilepsy. I don't know for a fact, but
they said it.
Felt like. Oh, did they say epilepsy?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I heard him say, take your medication, but I didn't know.
Yeah, no. When he was having his seizure, they're like, he's having epileptic.
Okay. So, on the Prime side, apparently, Mira wanted to listen to music, but didn't have a tape.
Didn't have the tape, that new tape there.
So she's like, I don't listen to my old stuff. So she was ready to listen and hear Epileptic's brother having a seizure. She saves his life. Okay, so that's a huge change, obviously, in the family dynamic for both of these sides.
Yes.
Alpha, Yannick, now has a dead son and a family that blames him. The sister and the mom both blame him because I guess the sister
Well, the
found
sister
out.
can't. She probably, who knows?
Because there's that scene. There's a scene where she's leaving. She's walking out,
right.
and he's like, Mira! And
Yeah,
she's like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
I'm not listening to you. So
It's
somehow
possible.
her mom told her, maybe?
We don't know. That could be that, but maybe she just doesn't want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, okay.
Because, I feel like, maybe she's just mourning, and so that's why she wants to shut him out.
But obviously the
I feel like
mom does blame him.
Yes. When we see her later, I feel like she should be more upset with her father coming home. Like, well, you went out? I feel like she shouldn't care.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, good point. So we're not exactly sure why Mira is upset with her dad, Alpha Mira and Alpha Yannick, because it's not clear that she knew that they were destined to be leaving the country earlier. But as far as the wife is very upset because they were supposed to leave weeks and weeks earlier. And the reason they didn't is because Yannick got obsessed with this experiment. He's like, oh, I can't leave this place, the crossing,
right.
So I have to stay. Oh, give me some time. Not sure what... he even tells the Croft, the guy, the American.
Yes.
Like, give me a couple of weeks.
Right.
Like, what? Really? Well, what did he think he was going to be able to... Did he really think he could wrap it up in 2 weeks?
No, I think he was just trying to play the guy off, that's all.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Because, it's just, long term, how are you going to get away with this for that long? Anyway. So basically you've got Alpha Yannick is incredibly depressed at this point. And Prime Yannick even says, you just like you really lost your son. Because
we can share the son.
You can be a universal daddy. He doesn't say that.
Why doesn't he say it?
Why doesn't he say it? Then it would tie in, damn it. Okay. So Prime Yannick brings up that idea. Alpha Yannick's like, I'm not you. He's not my son. That's bad. But
he's
obviously
like, my son is dead, he says.
Yeah, but it puts a little seed in the mind, like, oh man, maybe not a bad idea. Okay. So as we find out, both Yannicks start going to each other's houses secretly. So Alpha Yannick goes and like, hey, look, my son's alive. That's cool, awesome. Then he starts having sex with his not wife. Which is very disturbing in a way. I think it's just weird and awful in a way. Meanwhile, Prime Yannick is secretly going to Alpha Yannick's house. As far as we know, he's just spending time with Mira and just like, you were neglecting your family, so I thought I'd be nice to them.
Yeah, he might have cooked, because maybe the mom didn't feel like cooking since her son is dead.
Okay.
Because the point he looks at the table and there's food that's set up for more than 2 people.
It's I guess from what we see just superficially, it looks like Prime Yannick is kind of just being nice to their family. Like his intentions seem less disturbing than I'll go have sex with my not-wife.
Much less.
Yeah. So I'll be helpful and play board games with your family.
Yes.
You can go have sex with my wife. Great. Yeah. Anyway, so that comes to a head. It's a little... I'm skipping ahead. We're going to jump around here. But it's a little odd. The scene was a little confusing at first to me. So Alpha Yannick follows Prime Yannick back into the Prime side to Prime Yannick's house. And when Prime Yannick walks into his house expecting his family to be there, Alpha Yannick walks in behind him and is like, oh, they're not coming. They had a thing to do this afternoon. Which is why I thought at first they were in the Alpha side.
They each had 3 different things to do. The wife is taking classes, and the 2 children are doing other things.
Gotcha. But the fact that Alpha knew it and Prime didn't confused me.
Yeah,
for a
it
second.
confused me too. But I assume that one thing they set up is the fact that during the workday he would leave the Alpha and go to the Prime's house with the family, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And he's just like, "Hey, I'm here to hug my son and have sex with my wife." And so I presume that some point the other day he went in there and they're like, "Oh, hey, here's our plans for the day," that Yannick, the Prime, didn't hear because he just left in the morning or something.
It was surprising to me that
it was
Prime
confusing.
knew that, or wasn't surprised. Like, wait, you mean you were here? It seemed like information that Alpha Yannick was trying to hide from the Prime, but apparently not. I mean, that's the only thing he was hiding was he was having sex with the wife. He wasn't hiding that he was hanging out with the family. So I don't know. That's why I was confused.
I don't think he ever said that he would do anything because he set it up that I think everything he was doing was a secret.
So my point being, though, didn't he just give himself away if Alpha walks in and goes, "Oh, your family said they're going to have their," isn't he then giving away the fact that he's
been
was
there?
Yeah.
So what?
Okay. All right. I just because Alpha Prime didn't, or excuse me, Alpha Prime, Yannick Prime didn't act surprised in that moment.
No, he didn't. But here's the thing. I mean, like, as far as Yannick Alpha is concerned, you guys be like, "Wow, you're going to my house to see my kids and be nice to them when I've been ignoring them. You're trying to take over my life." So yes, but he didn't. That just because he's doing that doesn't necessarily mean he's having sex with his wife. That's the thing.
Well, there was
you're having sex with my wife.
I like the little.
Not necessarily like you've been seeing my family, which he did give him permission to do. We can share my son, but he didn't say, "And my wife." Yeah. Really, so it's like it makes it even more neurotic and or messed up. Like, oh, did you deliberately do that so you would get off on me being with your wife? It's like, what the hell is your problem?
The scene, later that scene when Yannick Prime presents the button, he's like, "I found this button, which means you've been having sex with my wife."
Yes.
And he puts it down on the table. That's a nice little, I think, a little callback to the intro graphics. With the Go board.
I was thinking about that when at one point they in the lab they showed these 2 things, and I'm like, "Is that?" And I had to watch it again. Like, no, it's a Go thing, but it looked like that.
I think it was an intentional reference to the Go board. Anyway, that's kind of cool. So obviously they get into a fight. There's a struggle, and Alpha wins. Alpha Yannick is the one who's been imprisoned on the Prime side.
Yep.
And so Mira runs
Crazy
in.
wins.
Crazy wins, exactly, unfortunately. So Mira runs in, sees
Crazy
bloody dad, or she would assume it's bloody dad. Does she? Just from the angle, it didn't look like
it's him. She knows it's him because she said it's him that did it.
I believe. Yes, you are correct that Mira is aware, but I didn't see in that moment that she saw both.
Well, I mean, either she saw that it was him bending over himself, or she saw that, oh, my dad's dead on the floor, and then, as he's leaving the house, he sees. I mean, it doesn't matter at what point she realized that it was her father.
It was just the fact that she ran away. I thought if she only saw the one guy, she would assume it was her dad and be like, run to him probably. Oh, my God, what happened?
Really? When you see somebody dead on the floor and somebody else with a phone in their hand?
If it's your dad, you're like, oh, my God, you survived. Or
you have an attacker. Okay. Who looks like your dad.
Okay, I got it. She probably saw on the floor and was like, that looks like my dad.
And that looks like my dad.
Yeah. So she witnesses Alpha killing her dad, which is then this really interesting dynamic of what we see in the present timeline. Mira is with the killer of her dad, who is also in some weird way her dad, her universal daddy. Okay, no. So she hates him, but I think she's trying to use him as leverage to get to the management at this point.
I don't know that she hates him.
You don't think she hates him? I'd almost have to feel that she would, but all right. But you're right. That's up for debate. So some other things that we obviously see what turns into management. We get to meet these other scientists. So there's an economist, there's an immunologist, important.
Yes.
There's a environmental science. That's the one, Ilsa. And then there's the human behavior guy.
Yeah.
Why don't we see more of the human behavior guy? Since that's what seems to be the most important aspect of this entire thing. Yeah. But he's kind of like, oh, okay, I'll just wear my turtleneck and stand in the corner. Yeah. Immunology guy is Yuma. One of them we know has been killed. The prime version is dead. But he is talking with Yannick. Yannick says, you know what we should do? We can create this virus that'll only affect the other side. We should do it as a fail-safe. And why should we do it? Because if we're talking about it, that means they're talking about it. I would make the case that the other side maybe isn't talking about it, just because it seems like it's the death of his kid that makes him so depressed, jealous. All these negative emotions he has toward his other are based on the death of his kid, which hasn't happened in the other side.
Correct.
And so I'm not sure that the other side is having that conversation.
Well, I guess what they're trying to set up, well, certainly he's the one that suggested it, and anybody else seems to take on to it.
Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm not sure. At first I thought, oh yeah, good point. Maybe both sides have their own version of this horrible thing. But then I thought, well, actually, Yannick Alpha is kind of his own thing at this point. And so, we see as a result...
Well, if Yannick's right, then that means that it's the inevitable result of having a double from another universe. Not a twin, because that wouldn't be...
So, yeah, Yannick...
Or a doppelganger.
And, Yannick took careful notes. He has a journal that gets later found by Mira. She sends agents out to find it.
Yes.
And they find it.
Yes.
And she says it has all of your confessions in it.
Yes.
So I think he probably, in the middle of all those confessions, he might have even written, yeah, we should probably create a flu to give to the other side as a, she's like, oh, well, great. Now I know what that... although there was still a line, I think it was even Mira who said it, where she's like, accidental or not.
Yes. Yes.
And they're still throwing out the idea that maybe it was an accident, which I suppose it could have been, but I don't think, if I was in that position, I wouldn't think it was an accident. I'd be like, yeah, they created a virus and then it killed us.
Right.
You guys are horrible anyway. But so somehow this show is still playing with the idea that maybe it wasn't intentional. It just feels like it was the whole time.
Well, we haven't seen the event. We haven't seen it, so we don't know.
Right.
You don't know if they're like, hey, let's just see if I can keep it in my hand.
Across the other side.
On the other side.
Oops.
And whoop, you tripped me. Oh, you curses.
You know what we'll
do?
That's
unintentional.
You know how we'll keep it safe? We'll inject this rat with it, and then let him run around, and then that way it'll be, oh, he ran across the other side. Oh, now he's eating his other. The rat thing was a little odd. That was a metaphor for these worlds. Yannick keeps seeing the rats multiplying, and then he sees them fighting each other, and he interprets that as the alphas and primes, I think, are killing each other.
Sure.
I'm not sure that I got that out of that. I was like, rats, sure, there's a bunch of rats. One of them dies, probably the others would eat it. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get he was reading a lot into it, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Which I get, Yannick seems
the question is whether or not, one of the things that they showed... Who got showed that video where people were fighting? I guess
that was Temple, Agent Temple in the beginning.
Right. So, who created that? Where did that come from? Is that before the rats or not?
Yeah.
You know?
I almost thought for a second, I was like, wait, was that the two Yannicks fighting? They wasn't. Because they didn't fight in the beginning. Right. When Yannick, has killed his other, the management turns him over to the other side as like hey, here you go, punish him as you will. And they take him to Echo.
Yes.
I did hear that, was it in one of the scenes where the two Yannicks are just explaining the rules to management. Yannick Prime, I believe, does mention, he calls the other Echo. He uses like, we will not interfere with our echoes. Something like that. He actually uses that term to describe their counterparts.
Okay.
So that was kind of interesting. It was like, so that's where the echo term comes from. And so what was interesting here, though, so Yannick, we get the idea that Yannick is a prisoner, but they're giving him people to experiment on inside this prison to learn more about the other side. And his whole, raison d'etre is to try to show that he's not unique. That it's not him.
No.
It's these dimensions.
Yes.
And everybody obviously would eventually kill their other because that's just the way humans are. You're going to try to wipe each other out.
Sure.
And it doesn't seem to be the case. We've already brought this up in other episodes, recaps, where we're like, we're not sure about the whole message of this show. But I think the show is now leaning in that direction too, of saying, yeah, this is more of a Yannick thing. Because Yannick even talks to his daughter at the end of the episode about it. And he's like, I forgot the exact exchange, but it's something like, oh, my other, and we're driven to wipe each other out. And she says, I believe you. Like,
yes.
I believe that it wasn't just you, kind of thing. But that's what'll happen.
Yeah, he was saying that he was trying to convince them all that time that this is inevitable. So here's another example, here's another example, here's another example, and they just ignored him. And she's like, hey, I believe you.
Right.
You don't have to sell me.
She's on board.
I'm on board.
But we've seen, like, for instance, all the other scientists, at least at the time that they decided to become hermits, they were all getting along fine. But because of the Yannick situation, they agree that, probably we'll end up killing each other. Let's all separate.
Yeah.
It just felt like they're scientists. Maybe you have a bigger polling sample than one. To like,
how many? They saw the rats.
Oh, it's true. The rats.
Yeah.
The rats. Anyway, so that's apparently that particular break is what made management break off. We saw them with their cases. Let's talk real briefly about the setup of the Office of Interchange. So I wasn't 100% on board with how this all got set up, but it's kind of one of these, like, fine, you explained it enough and we'll just let it go. But the explanation's a little wonky, where this was a government lab. So it's an East German facility.
Yes.
Overnight, bad things happened. There was a meltdown. Yannick's like, stay away from the place. Everybody gets on furlough. And then, like, years go by. It was 2 years before the wall fell down. So at least for that period of time, he and so essentially 10 people are in this giant facility by themselves.
Yes.
And no one ever checks on them. No one ever comes by. There's never it just feels a little convenient. And then I'm also thinking, like, who had the money for all this stuff that they end up bringing in when they eventually do expand?
Yes.
You're like, well, they're not connected to a government, it doesn't seem like. Are they? I can't. Now I'm confused. It's like, are they German? Is it the German government now running it? Or is it secret even from the German government?
Right.
It's just like, oh, no, we're a science lab. And stay away, folks. I think because it seems like management is at the top. But if they were working for the government, there'd be another level on top of that, right? I mean, that's where I'm.
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
So it seems a little convenient, but I'm willing to. It doesn't, kill my enjoyment of it. It's just like,
Good.
okay, somebody's Mr. Moneybags. That human behavior guy, he had some cash.
There you go.
Volker, I think is his name. They did mention Yannick's last name at one point, but they said it so fast. It was like Toomer. Anyway, because that's Mira's last name as well. I was trying to questions I've got. I mean, it's answered a lot of questions, which is nice. But some questions I've got, like for instance, Alpha Mira.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Prime Reiner.
Yeah. Where are they?
Now maybe Prime Reiner died in a flu epidemic.
Maybe
we don't know.
We don't know.
But Alpha Mira should probably still be around. They do a cover story. We see management show up at Alpha Yannick's house and tell the wife, like, hey, he ran away he had an affair and ran off to Stockholm. Which obviously probably screws her life up too, right? That's another split with her other. Oh, they already had a split, and that the kid's dead and the kid's not dead. But I think maybe we see Alpha Mira at some point.
Maybe. I mean,
that's Alpha Yannick's actual daughter.
Because to the extent that I don't know, she's on the other side. We're not sure if they will open up the doors to the other side. It would be, I don't think I would like it if she was involved in any activities that were, aware even.
I agree. I would think, in my brain, I feel it's kind of like a Baldwin situation, where the one is a violinist and the other one's an assassin. Right. Where she just grew up and she became a roadie for Alphaville. Ultimate plan then. Mira is saying the right things. I just feel like she's saying what Yannick wants to hear. She's saying, hey, I'm not here to, I have a row full of guns and this is my safe house and I'm on the run from management. I'm just here to end things. I'm here to end the experiment. Right. I'm not here to kill people.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Right. Yeah.
She does say, I have an army on the other side. Like, okay. So ending the experiment. See, I think, like, you can make the assumption that maybe ending the experiment means closing the crossing. I don't think that's what ending the experiment means to her. Mm-hmm. I think ending the experiment means ending the other side in some way. For instance, just closing the crossing, what is she going to do with that army? The army she has on the other side, are they just going to put down their guns and become school teachers? No, they're probably going to do something horrible. You know what I mean? Like, do they come back first? Right. I don't think that's the. See what I mean? That's it's a weird.
One of the things they've set up though is the people's willingness to sacrifice their own lives for this. So if they had to stay in the, they're on the wrong side. Oh well, at least the thing that was supposed to happen happened.
That was one of the rules that Yannick set up. Even was like, we must protect the secret. Yes. With our lives. Yes. FYI. But she says, okay, so we have the box. She contacts management. It's kind of weird when they hide the boxes. How do they know when to get on? Do they have a set time maybe to get online? I don't know.
One thing they were showing, the ways that they communicate and stuff. Maybe that's how they, do it. They're like,
it's like 6 o'clock. Hey, maybe, everybody.
Maybe.
She goes on and says, "Hey, I'll give you. I'm here with Yannick. We'll give ourselves over if everybody meets in one place," which just sounds like the worst idea. Yeah. If next week all of management from both sides end up in the same room and they're waiting on Mira, I'll be a little disappointed. Like, that seems like a dumb idea.
You'd be like, you know what? Go ahead and kill them.
Yeah. Like this mass murderer wants you all in the same room. I would just, come on. Be smarter than that. I think they're going to be smarter than that. I don't think they're going to do that. I'm giving you credit, management. Don't let me down. Because, I feel like Mira would take them out. Just for the idea of, if nothing else, even if she just wanted to close the crossing, just so that no one's alive who can deal with it. So don't, if you're management and you want to live, don't all show up in the same room and wait for Mira to show up. And I know we're missing some stuff because there's a lot happening in this episode. We glossed over some things probably. Feel free to mention it in the comments. Sure. We will make comments back. Any other things, big things that I've missed?
No.
Sir?
No. I mean, the thing that occurred to me was not a big thing.
Okay, it can be a small thing.
I feel like it's rational for, or at least for some people it's rational, that the parents would be so upset about the injustice that was happening that they wouldn't, be paying as much attention to their child. It's like, we couldn't argue our way out of this.
When the kid's having an epileptic fit on the floor.
It's like, it just seemed interesting to me in a way that, I feel like, I guess it's realistic, but it's always something, where it's, I don't know, just an interesting action.
You feel like you had a hard time believing that they wouldn't have noticed the kid out on the floor?
No, it's like, sort of like, oh yeah, humans can be stupid like that. Where they're just like, I can obviously argue against you taking it away. It's like, you've been afraid of this group for the longest time. You think you're going to be able to argue them out of it when they're there? You won't. But, it feels like something that people actually do, which is like, I can argue my way out of this.
That's true. No, well, in a much lesser situation, like you see it a lot of times in a pro sports, whatever. It's in my case, it's soccer, but it could be whatever. There'll be a guy the ref calls him for a foul, and then he starts arguing at the ref. Yeah. Like, what do you think the ref's going to not call the foul? You know what? You are right.
Yeah.
I take it all back. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. Same idea. We're taking your kid away. What?
Yeah.
Anyway, we do know that Yannick Prime does have enough pull that eventually he does make a call and he gets his kid out of prison.
Yes.
The fact that the family seemed really fairly well adjusted when Yannick Alpha goes over seemed a little weird because like they would still have been mad. Or at least the mom still, you would think, would have been angry that they hadn't still gotten out of the country. Like, Yannick Prime is still delaying escaping.
Right.
And yet, they seemed pretty like...
and this is before all the sex. So,
Bum, bum, bum. It just... the idea that they created the different floors... They're like, hey, we'll keep everybody, isolated from each other. Yeah. That way they won't realize they're working on the same project.
Yeah, and to me you're reminding me that still think it's weird that it seems as if this organization is being kept secret, certainly from other governments.
Right.
But apparently its own government?
Yes.
So, I feel like by now maybe the German government must know, I guess. But if it's only the what is it they call management? Yeah. If they're management that was in that thing, then don't they have prime ministers or presidents or whatever in Germany? I mean,
answer yes. They have a chancellor. And
there you go. So,
it's the right, how secret this is got a little wonky in this particular episode, and the fact that they could have kept it that secret for that long too just feels a little unrealistic. But again,
to the point where we're
talking about two different dimensions. So I guess
an American like Toby there. He's
American like Nia Temple. She's a former FBI person being brought in for security.
Oh yeah, her right.
Watch this video.
Right.
Probably sign this waiver. All right, you're good. Yeah. Does she eventually, somebody like her you would think would have arrived in the past, do they then, what if you get another job? Do you ever get another job? Can you ever work anywhere else ever again?
Right.
Like, hey, I appreciated my 5 years here, but I'm going to go work over at the bank next.
Right.
No, you can't work anywhere else.
All right, so that sets it up for the sequel, The Prisoner.
The Prisoner. Anyway, very cool. Obviously a mind-blowing episode in some ways. It really showed us the origin story for this thing.
Yes.
So, excited to see how they do the last 4 episodes. Hoping management's a little. I'm giving them credit. Come on now, don't all show up in that same room. Don't do it. Let us know your thoughts, your theories, and we will be back. Actually, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery later this week.
Yeah.
I have actually not yet watched the episode. I'm going to watch episode 1.
There you go.
You've already seen it.
I've seen it.
We will discuss it at length. So stick with us for that. Bye, everybody.